From the Watergate Building in Washington, this is Hotline TV. Now here are Hotline editors Chuck Todd and John Mercurio.
Welcome to Hotline TV. I'm Chuck Todd.
And I am John Mercurio. And today the Jokers are wild. After a party goes down to defeat, everyone left thinks they have the answer. So today we'll take a look at the best of the rest, the wild cards, in the 2008 Republican White House campaign. Chuck, let's go through these candidates.
I used to like that show, The Joker's Wild. Remember the actual host? No. The actual host, I can't remember his name, but he was the game show host that they did the movie 21. When the quiz show.
Game show.
Yeah.
Quiz show, yeah.
A quiz show, that's what it was.
Fascinating.
Anyway, The Joker's Wild. I just always remember that.
Thanks so much for that little
All right.
You watch a lot of bad TV in Central Florida.
South Florida.
South Florida,
There's no such thing as Central Florida. It was a mangrove swamp before Disney got to it. All right, let's look at the first one of these guys. Let's see if he cracks our top 5 of the wild cards. Our man, your man, Mark Sanford.
He is my man.
In a tougher contest than people, he only won by 10 points in a very red state. It shows you that little enemies list that he had created there, the Republicans didn't go over well.
Right. But still by 10 points. I think that's a relatively safe win, considering that he beat an incumbent 4 years ago, so he's still forming his base.
Our friends over in the American Conservative Union, all those guys, they secretly love this guy.
Mark Sanford, smack in the middle of the
wild card,
long shot wild card.
Speaking of ex-Republican members of Congress who become governor, Bob Riley. What do you think about the Bob Riley boomlet?
I think Bob Riley boomlet is not going to happen, but I don't think it's an unrealistic. I don't think it's laughable at this point. Look, he came back from a terrible.
I was just going to say 2 years ago,
2003 or 2005.
2 years ago, this guy was 20 points behind in his primary. Mm-hmm. Oh, and losing general election numbers. People forget that.
Right, and I think that the sort of the southern, the deep south, the idea that he's running from Alabama, or the idea of running on a national ticket from Alabama, is really what would work against him, except in a Republican primary.
There is no Southerner. I mean, that's the thing that's missing right now with George Allen now out of this thing. Mm-hmm. There is no natural Southern candidate. Alabama's early in the primary process.
But that raises an important question. In 2008, is America really looking not for a Southerner, but a deep Southerner? Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. That's what I'm talking about. That's a very different question than are they running from Tennessee, Arkansas, North Carolina, South Carolina.
All right, you have your man, Mark Sanford. I have my man, Duncan Hunter. What are you even thinking here? Is this his way of saying, I don't want to run for re-election since I'm not going to be a committee chair, so up or out, baby?
Pretty much. But, I think he's someone who wants to, what you've seen from Duncan Hunter over the past 2 years is just someone who has 2 or 3 things that he actually cares about, and that's it. And if he's not going to be chairman,
and he is articulate about it.
He goes on TV and he talks extremely articulately. I think he wants to be part of a debate. He doesn't want to run for president. He doesn't want to win the presidential campaign. He doesn't want to govern this country, but he wants to at least have a voice in the debate. He's the Dennis Kucinich of the race. There are obvious comparisons, but there are also
in a positive way. I mean, Dennis Kucinich was treated as a joke. He might get a little more, because he was an Armed Service Committee chair, he might get a little more
Right. Oh, I didn't
juice.
mean it in a negative way, but yeah. I agree.
So I guess we'll put him below. Are you okay so far with how I'm ranking this?
Yeah.
All right, now we got to go to maybe the star of 06 for the Republicans, and that's Tim Pawlenty.
Yes, the survivor, if you will.
The lone survivor. I mean, what other Republican in a blue state survived a close statewide election like him?
Certainly not Bob Ehrlich. He's going to have the 2008 Republican convention in his home state. A lot of attention going to be focused on him. Absolutely, put him right up at the top.
Grover gave him a lot of grief when he went for the cigarette tax. It's like, if you're not pure on taxes, Grover suddenly turns on you. But he could be very popular with the Club for Growthers.
He had a really weak Democratic challenger, but that's not going to matter at this point. He survived.
He's still a 2-term governor.
In a terrible Republican year.
Never has gotten 50%, though.
Pawlenty.
Never has gotten 50%.
Well, if he wins in 2008 on a Republican ticket, he'll never have to.
Oh, look at that. Dick Armey. Penis Navy.
Hey, now.
All right, sorry.
Dick, why are we putting him so far to the top?
I don't think we
are. I
kind
of feel like Tim Pawlenty.
I don't think we are.
We're taking him off.
We can end up not including him.
Let's leave Dick Armey on the cutting room floor, if you will.
I would put him above Duncan Hunter.
Would you really?
Wouldn't you?
Dick Armey is not making friends right now in the Republican conference.
He's the guy he likes to trash them, right?
He's coming out.
You guys suck. I was good.
Yeah, I was good. I did everything right.
This never would have.
The Mark Foley scandal never would have happened under me. John Kerry was just making a joke when he criticized the president, and the Republicans.
You know who I'd like to hear talk about Dick Armey's presidential aspirations? How about one of his former aides who made a huge leap into the national political scene, Ed Gillespie. Didn't Ed Gillespie come out of a Dick Armey office?
Sure.
I'm pretty sure. And we know Terry Holt. That was
Terry Holt
he had an
took
all-star team there.
He did. He had a good camp.
What if they all came and worked on his presidential? Then how'd you feel about it?
That's a good. Let's ask that question. All of you all who worked for Dick Armey in the House, come back to the team.
Bring it on.
Come back. You can
All right,
on
our
show.
final wild card. It used to be somebody we all took seriously. I mean,
Right.
Tommy Thompson was a rising star.
Is there any way that we could do this visually, where we just sort of I just put Tim Pawlenty in a category all his own?
That he's the only one that we should be taking seriously.
Yeah, of the sort
You
of
wouldn't
wild
take
card.
Sanford seriously?
I would take him more seriously than Tommy Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're going to force us to rank, I agree. He's like 1, and he'd be like 2B.
We think you're awesome, Tim Paul.
Yeah,
T-Paw.
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 What a great nickname he already has.
Tommy Thompson talking about doing this again. Former HHS, former
He's got a chip
Wisconsin
implant now.
Gov. He's got a chip implant.
Chip implant.
Chimp
Not
implant?
a chimp implant.
No.
He actually, apparently, working for this company, the idea is you put a chip of all your healthcare data in your body itself so they could, like, scan you.
Yeah, I think they tried to do this to my dog.
Yeah.
When she
And
was
apparently,
spayed.
like, he's, to encourage other people to do it, he went ahead and did it himself. So, you know, it wouldn't be any more jokes about whether there are chips implanted in the president. We would
Right.
actually have a president with
the
the
chip.
electronic tracking device to him. You too can get your GPS with Tommy
You can
Thompson.
never actually be in a secret, undisclosed location.
Wow. Boy, I tell you, if they lose any more elections, will even more people decide to run for president? How about Michael Steele? How come we haven't talked about Rick Santorum,
And
Jim
we might be
Talent?
talking about the future chairman of the RNC there. So
How about
some
Henry
respect,
Bonilla
please.
for president?
How about Jim Talent for vice president?
Jim
Or
Talent
for governor in
VP
2008.
actually makes a lot of sense, but he
That's what I'm
can't.
talking about.
But Senator, don't become a lobbyist in the next year. You
There's
actually
been
got to sit that out.
50,000 more votes in St. Louis for Jim Talent. He would be on the Veep shortlist.
And if John's aunt was my uncle, she'd have it. Never mind. That's it. That's
clean.
it. That's the list. We're going to keep it clean here.
All right, that's the clean version of what Chuck wanted to say. Chuck us out tomorrow for some 08 Senate previews, when we'll have some more for the GOP to be blue about.
Man, this is just piling on week, isn't it? For John Mercurio, I'm Chuck Todd. We'll see you next time. Hotline TV.